All right, students, we are now going to learn how to add and subtract complex numbers. What are complex numbers? Complex numbers are really just a combination of your real numbers and your imaginary numbers. Together, they are called complex numbers. So a complex number will consist of a real part. In this case, it's in the form a plus bi. A will be our real part and bi will be our imaginary part. Together they form complex numbers. We are going to learn how to add and subtract those. Here's an example. 2 minus 3i minus 4 minus 6i. Alright, so we see there is a negative in between or a minus in between our brackets, meaning we are subtracting our brackets. How do we do that? I am going to write 2 minus 3i as is. I'm going to have minus times 4. It will be minus 4 minus minus plus 6i. Then how you add is you add the real terms together, then the imaginary terms together. So I'm going to have 2 minus 4. It's going to give me minus 2 minus 3i plus 6i gives me plus 3i. So you are going to add your real components together, your imaginary components together. Maybe let's take a second example. Number 2. Let's take an easy one. If I have 3i plus 2i, let's say plus 6. Then how will I add? I will simply add the like terms. So 3i and 2i are like terms. They will give me 5i, then plus 6. That's how you add and subtract like terms. It's that easy. But now we are also going to take time to learn how to multiply like terms. Multiply complex numbers. So I'm going to take the very same example of the brackets above, but now I am going to multiply them. So I'm going to have 2 minus 3i, then times 4 minus 6i. So now we are working with a times because there is no sign in between. Please be very careful of that. So now we are going to use our FOIL method as we are multiplying two binomials. I'm going to have 2 times 4, which is 8. Then 2 times minus 6i, which is minus 12i. Minus 3i times 4 gives me minus 12i again. Minus 3i times minus 6i will give me plus 18i squared. Okay, before I add and subtract any like terms, I have an I squared there. If I'm simplifying, I don't want any I squares. I don't want any i's over the power of 1. So what is I squared? We all know. Okay, there are many ways of doing it. I can add these ones because already I see they are like terms. Let's add them. 8 minus 12i minus 12i. Now I get minus 24i plus 18. I squared is negative 1. So I get 8 minus 24i minus 18. Again, add like terms. 8 and 8 negative 18 are my like terms. 8 minus 18 is minus 10. Then minus 24 does not have a like term. I will have minus 24i. So that's how easy you multiply complex numbers. Let's just do a second example just to solidify our understanding. Let's take 3 minus 4i all squared. So we know squared means that there are two of these brackets. So I'm going to open two brackets, 3 minus 4i times 3 minus 4i. Then 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times negative 4i. I'm foiling using the FOIL method. 3 times negative 4i is negative 12i. Negative 4i times 3 is negative 12i also. Negative 4i times negative 4i is positive 16i squared. If I add like terms, I'm going to have 9. Negative 12i and negative 12i are like terms. This one is not a like term because it's I squared. So negative 12i minus negative 12i will give me minus 24i. And then plus 16. The I squared becomes negative 1. Then going down, I have 9 minus 24i. 16 times negative 1, it's negative 16. Then we have 9 minus 16. It will give me 7 minus 24i. That's how easily you add, subtract, and multiply complex numbers. In the next video, we'll be learning how to divide complex numbers.